Relying on a single brain training app provides only a narrow slice of cognitive protection compared to a multi-domain approach. Massive clinical trials have revealed a more effective path. Protecting the brain requires a lifestyle strategy, a combination of specific habits working together to build resilience. Neuroscientists call this cognitive reserve. Think of it as a physical buffer or a savings account for your mind. A robust reserve helps the brain endure the wear and tear of aging and disease without showing outward signs of memory loss. To build that account, you have to actively make multifaceted deposits. Solving an isolated daily crossword puzzle is like putting pennies in a jar. You need consistent investments across your diet, your physical movement, and your mental challenges. Keeping the mind sharp requires a systematic blueprint of compounding daily habits that fortify the brain's architecture over decades. The 10-year ACTIV trial tracked thousands of older adults and proved that specific cognitive training can cut dementia risk decades later. But the study highlighted a crucial detail: how long you train dictates your success. Plotting training time against cognitive benefit shows younger adults peak between 15 and 20 minutes before fatigue sets in. But older adults require a different structure, building cognitive gains during deliberate sessions of 60 to 75 minutes. To avoid mental overload, modern brain training uses an adaptive mechanism. The exercises automatically adjust difficulty in real time, easing up when you struggle and scaling up as you improve, keeping you in the optimal training zone. Targeted mental training is effective on its own, but its impact is significantly amplified when the body's physical systems are optimized. The landmark FINGER trial demonstrated exactly how these pillars interact. Researchers discovered that cognitive training must be paired simultaneously with a multi-domain intervention to maximize its protective effects. Comparing cognitive improvement, participants using the combined multi-domain approach achieved scores 25% higher than those relying on single interventions. This was achieved by layering mental training with the mind diet, physical exercise, and cardiovascular monitoring. The nutritional layer, the mind diet, blends Mediterranean and DASH eating patterns. By emphasizing leafy greens, berries, and fish, it directly reduces neuroinflammation and provides the raw materials the brain needs to function. The physical component supports this by increasing vital blood flow. Aerobic workouts or low-impact rhythmic movements pump oxygen and nutrients into the brain, actively supporting neuroplasticity, the growth of new neural connections. Cognitive longevity requires treating the brain as an organ entirely dependent on the health of the connected physical system, rather than an isolated computer you can simply upgrade with software. A structured daily routine provides the framework to hold these habits together. Predictable schedules reduce your baseline cognitive load and strengthen circadian rhythms, which frees up mental energy for high-level problem-solving. Yet there is an inherent tension here. While routine provides very stability, the brain also demands unfamiliarity. You have to balance a predictable schedule with novel, challenging stimulation to force the brain to adapt. That novel stimulation often comes from complex social engagement. This is exactly why games like Mahjong are experiencing a comeback. Beyond strategic rules, it's the unpredictable, real-time social interaction, reading human opponents, reacting to dynamic changes, and conversing that forces neural networks to fire and build reserve. This data suggests a specific daily rhythm: morning circadian alignment with light stretching, a midday mind diet meal paired with social engagement, afternoon targeted brain training, and an evening routine focused on sleep and memory consolidation. Building a resilient brain is a process of relentless compounding, stacking these specific multi-domain habits day after day to secure a healthy cognitive future. What if I told you that significant memory loss, the kind that so many of us really fear, is not a mandatory part of aging? What if, for decades, we've been asking the completely wrong questions? We've been taught to fear forgetting, to see our minds as this fragile candle just destined to flicker and fade over time. But what if your mind isn't a candle at all? What if it's a muscle? Something you can train, you can strengthen, and you can build to be more powerful and resilient than you ever thought possible? Well, the latest science tells a totally different and honestly a far more empowering story. We all know someone like this. Just picture that person in their 80s or 90s who is still the sharpest person in the room, right? Their memory is like a steel trap, their wit is lightning fast, and they tell stories with perfect clarity. For the longest time, we've just chalked it up to good luck or great genes. We tell ourselves, oh, they just won the genetic lottery. But what if it's not a lottery ticket? What if it's a shield, a powerful, invisible shield inside the brain that they spent their entire life building, brick by brick, a shield that you can start building for yourself right now. So in this explainer, we are not going to dwell on the fear of forgetting. Nope, we're here to solve the puzzle of remembering. We are going to unpack the incredible cutting-edge science that literally hands you the power to influence your own cognitive destiny. And by the end of this, I promise, you won't just have hope, you'll have a scientifically validated blueprint to build a brain that can truly withstand the tests of time. Okay, let's dive into this. The answer to this great mystery, the reason two people can have the exact same level of physical wear and tear in their brains, but have wildly different mental abilities, it all comes down to a single powerful concept. This concept is the secret weapon of those sharp-witted 90-year-olds, and it's something you can absolutely cultivate. It's called cognitive reserve. Seriously, write this down, remember it, because this is the single most important factor in how well your brain weathers the storms of aging, injury, or disease. And this isn't some pop psychology buzzword, it's a scientifically validated concept, born from these startling discoveries in autopsies where scientists found brains that were just riddled with the plaques and tangles of Alzheimer's, yet their owners had shown zero signs of dementia in life. Their cognitive reserve was so high, it allowed them to function perfectly despite all that underlying damage. So what is it exactly? Well, think of your brain's pathways like a city's road system. A brain with low cognitive reserve is kind of like a small town with only one main road to get to the grocery store. If there's an accident or a construction, you're stuck, you can't get there. But a brain with high cognitive reserve is like a sprawling metropolis with this complex web of highways, side streets, and back alleys. If the main highway is blocked, your brain's GPS just simply and efficiently reroutes you. It finds another way. Cognitive reserve is the richness of that road network. It's the brain's built-in adaptability. Now, what's really fascinating about this is the critical distinction it makes. Brain reserve, that's the hardware. It's the physical computer you get right out of the box, the processor speed, the amount of RAM. It's the size of your brain, the sheer number of neurons you have, and that's largely determined by genetics and your early life. But cognitive reserve, that's the software. It's the sophisticated programs you install, the custom scripts you write, and the constant updates you run. It's how efficiently you use the hardware you've got. And here's the most empowering part. While you can't really change your hardware, you are the programmer. You have incredible lifelong control over your software. And this brilliantly illustrates the engine that builds your cognitive reserve. The mechanism is called neuroplasticity. It's your brain's incredible lifelong ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Every single time you learn a new skill, whether it's a language, a musical instrument, or a complex game, you are physically rewiring your brain. You are forcing neurons that don't normally talk to each other to fire in a new sequence. And that strengthens that pathway for the future. You are literally building those new roads in your mental city. You're not just learning, you're building a more resilient brain. So we know what this incredible protective shield is. We know it's like a software we can upgrade, but that leads to the billion-dollar question, how do we actually build it? What are the specific, actionable, scientifically proven steps we can take starting today? The answer isn't guesswork or some list of vague wellness tips. No. The answer comes from two of the most important large-scale brain health studies ever conducted. These studies give us the exact blueprint. So let's move to that scientific blueprint and see how this all comes together. We are now entering the action plan. This isn't about what might work. This is about what has been proven to work in the gold standard of research, large, randomized, controlled trials. We're going to start with a groundbreaking study from Finland that completely changed the game, proving for the very first time that cognitive decline isn't just something you can slow down, it's something you can actively prevent. This is the FINGER trial. It was the first of its kind. Researchers took over 1,200 at-risk older adults and gave them a multi-pronged intervention. See, they realized building a resilient brain isn't about finding one magic bullet. It's about a holistic approach. So they targeted 5 key areas all at once: the fuel you provide your brain through nutrition, the oxygen and blood flow from physical exercise, the direct challenge of cognitive training, the complex stimulation of social activities, and managing your cardiovascular health, like blood pressure, which is directly tied to brain health. And the results, they weren't just good, they were absolutely staggering. Just look at these numbers. After only 2 years, the group that got this 5-part intervention saw an 83% greater improvement in executive function compared to the control group. Now, executive function sounds all technical, but these are your brain's CEO skills. It's your ability to plan, to focus, to remember instructions, and to juggle multiple tasks successfully. An 83% improvement there is the difference between feeling scattered and feeling totally in command of your day. And their overall cognition was 25% better. And this is where it gets even more incredible: their processing speed, how quickly they could think on their feet and react to information. It improved by a massive 150%. Their ability to handle complex memory tasks jumped by 40%. The FINGER study proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that our cognitive destiny is not set in stone. It gave us the first real, scientifically validated blueprint for building a better, more resilient brain. So let's break these pillars down one by one, starting with the fuel. So pillar 1 is nutrition, and the science has zeroed in on one specific eating plan. It's called the MIND diet. Researchers combined the best brain protective elements of the heart-healthy Mediterranean and DASH diets into one super diet specifically for the brain. As you can see here, it's not about severe restriction, it's a strategic plan. It emphasizes foods rich in brain protective nutrients like the flavonoids in berries and leafy greens that fight off damaging inflammation, and the omega-3 fatty acids in fish that are the literal building blocks of brain cells. The effect of sticking to this is nothing short of jaw-dropping. That is not a typo. Large-scale observational studies from Rush University found that people who adhered most closely to the MIND diet had the cognitive function of someone 7.5 years younger. Just let that sink in for a moment. By strategically changing what you put on your plate, you could effectively rewind your brain's clock by over 7 years. So the crucial point here is that this is one of the most powerful tools in our entire arsenal. And hey, if this is already making you think about your next meal, do me a favor and hit that like button so I know this is really resonating with you. Alright, the second pillar of the FINGER blueprint is physical exercise. The old saying is absolutely true. What's good for the heart is fantastic for the brain. Getting your heart pumping through at least 150 minutes a week of activities like brisk walking, swimming, or dancing does so much more than just increase blood flow. It triggers the release of this miraculous molecule called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists literally call it miracle grow for the brain because it supports the survival of existing neurons and encourages the growth of new ones. It is the direct fuel for neuroplasticity. This is a non-negotiable part of the blueprint. Now for the third pillar, mental challenge, and this is where it gets really specific and frankly very surprising. We are constantly bombarded with ads and apps and games that promise to make us smarter and ward off dementia. I mean, it's a billion-dollar industry, but does any of it actually work? Well, the largest, longest, and most rigorous brain training study ever conducted has a very clear verdict, and its findings will change the way you think about brain training forever. This is the ACTIV Trial. The ACTIV study was a massive undertaking. It followed over 2,800 healthy older adults for up to 20 years. They were split into groups and given one of 3 types of cognitive training. One group got memory strategies, another got reasoning skill practice, and the third got something called speed of processing training. A decade later, the researchers looked at who had developed dementia. The results were shocking. Only one of those training types was linked to a lasting significant reduction in dementia risk, a 29% lower risk to be exact. So which one was it? The undisputed champion was speed of processing training. Now, this type of exercise doesn't train you to remember longer lists of words. Instead, it trains a much more fundamental ability, the speed and accuracy of your visual attention. It forces your brain to quickly identify objects in the center and periphery of your vision. So why is this so protective? Well, the theory is that by making the brain's foundational processing more efficient and automatic, you free up massive cognitive resources for higher-level tasks like memory and reasoning. It's like upgrading your computer's operating system to run faster, which makes every single program you run also work better. Were you surprised by that result? I know I was when I first dove into this research. It completely upends what most of the commercial brain game industry is trying to sell us. Let me know in the comments below what you thought would be the winner. Now, beyond specific digital training, the science is clear that other complex strategic activities are just powerhouses for building cognitive reserve. Things like learning a new language, picking up a musical instrument, or playing strategic games like bridge or Mahan are incredibly effective because they combine memory, strategy, and social interaction all at once. Okay, deep breath. We've covered the mind diet, 150 minutes of exercise, and specific mental challenges. And you might be thinking, this is great, but it sounds like a full-time job. It can feel overwhelming. I get it. How do you possibly fit all of this into an already busy life? The answer is the final piece of the puzzle. It's the operating system that allows you to run all these powerful programs seamlessly in the background, and that is the power of a consistent daily routine. Research from the University of Pittsburgh shows that seniors who maintain consistent, active daily routines perform significantly better on cognitive tests. Now, this isn't about having a rigid, boring schedule. It's about reducing your cognitive load. Our brains love automation. By making these powerful brain-healthy habits automatic, you free up your precious mental energy. This blueprint on the screen shows how you can habit stack these pillars. Notice how the morning walk primes the brain with BDNF right before the cognitive challenge at 10 a.m., making that learning session way more effective. And notice how the social lunch combines the mind diet with a social activity pillar. It's not just a schedule. It's a synergistic system designed to make brain health an effortless part of your day. So let's bring it all together. We started with the great mystery of why some brains age so well. We uncovered the secret weapon, cognitive reserve. We then laid out the scientifically validated blueprint from the FINGER and ACTIV trials. And finally, we gave you the operating system, a daily routine to install it all into your life. The single most important takeaway from all of this is a message of incredible empowerment and control. Your cognitive future is not a lottery ticket you hope to win. It is a house that you build. Every mind diet meal you eat, that's a brick in the foundation. Every workout is reinforcing the frame. Every time you challenge your mind with a complex new skill, you're wiring the electricity. You are the architect and the builder of your mind's resilience. You build it brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. The science is crystal clear. The actions you take today are writing the story of your mind's future. If this explainer has empowered you to take control of that story, do me a huge favor and smash that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into the science of peak performance, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss out. And as a thank you for watching all the way to the end, I've created a free one-page checklist of the entire scientific brain health blueprint we discussed. You can download it right now using the link in the description below. Your journey to a sharper, more resilient mind starts right now.